hear me. What? Back.
Welcome to Let's Have a Fefe, where we are nothing if not consistent.
So what I said is, we're going to talk about your Wednesday night conversation. Church, what this was church with filters, special filters. Trump rallies with special filters. And then
learn how to just read our lips at this point, because
it's standard. I don't think they heard it. Oh, Francis did say that. Okay, so I fucked it up. Let's put it in the books, and I couldn't zip my costume up by myself. So, if it falls forward, you're welcome. I can't dance, but it's an outfit that says I can. Oh boy, let's go through. Let's take our moment of silence for. We have some victims added to it. I can't believe we're still doing this, but
Jesus Christ.
Here we go. So I was trying to look up there was a recent victim of police brutality that happened in Tucson, but he was Latino or Latinx, excuse me. Welcome to Let's Have a Fefe. We've been taking a moment of silence since about the beginning.
Since about the beginning of the month, give or take a little bit.
Yeah. Just as a, we're all thinking it. I haven't stopped thinking about it. Welcome to Let's Have a Fefe. I'm Felicia Fefe Minor. And over there in yellow. And what's funny is when we match when we don't intend to is the funny thing. And we have Mr. Freddy Prinze Charming, who is Mr. USofA MI Classic for
until next March. It's official until next March. So I still have another.
I mean, if people are still having rallies in churches, I don't think so. I'm so sorry to tell you that. We are Arizona's longest running live stream. We are more than just the gossip. Sometimes you can't even hear when we're talking about more than just the gossip. But it's the issues that matter most to you, and it doesn't matter if you can hear them because the producer is not producing correctly. And anyway, share this episode. Tell them to skip about 5 minutes in.
Should I be I feel like I should have a union to protect me from this shit? Cause...
Probably.
Can I join a union of one? Is that a thing? Can
I? Please share this episode. We're gonna be talking about. We can this week. Last week we couldn't because our guest. I don't even want to say her name because
right.
Governments have
right.
trackings. But our guest could not talk about Donald Trump because she technically works for him.
Right. He's technically her employer.
So I was like, okay, cool. I mean,
right.
She doesn't necessarily agree, but I was like, cool, we won't. I don't mess with people's money at all. At all. Anyway, we're streaming live on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch. And we are brought to you by Wigs of a Kind. You can find them on Facebook. Karen on my head, I'll flash back, but is by Wigs of a Kind. And we are also brought to you by the Burley Barber. Make sure you make an appointment before you go
Yes.
to the Burley Barber.
Yes.
Can't just show up, honey. Let's see. We have a long list of supporters now. We have 12. I couldn't read the 5 that we had before. Now I can't read the 12. So
do you need me to? Do you need me
no,
to
I'm good.
this?
I just want you to hold on. Allison, Best, and Brandon, Casey Starr, Carrie and Corey, Kim, Joan, Jody, Leanne, Nicole, Patricia Mason, and Sassy C. Diaz.
Yes.
And you can support us today at patreon.com/let'shaveafefe. You can also support us by tipping us in the tip jar at paypal.me/let'shaveafefe. Do that. What'd you do this weekend? Oh God, that.
I had to think back because all my days are kind of running together. Like my week consists of Wednesday and then not Wednesday. That's like pretty much my day. That's pretty much it.
That's why
I have track TV day.
I post the show.
And Wednesday and like everything else is not Wednesday, and that's pretty much it. Because
that's why I post the show on your wall, because I'm like, today's Wednesday.
Yeah, and I took today off, so that just threw everything into a whole So Friday, I got to do the Juneteenth Story Hour with Drag Story Hour Arizona. Where, because you had a million and one things happening, you sent in the recorded video.
We'll talk about it.
Man. And then I got to read live. It was hosted by Sassy, which was fantastic.
You guys are great.
Sassy read live as well. But both of our books were really good. I
like
really
the book that you were reading, though. That was very, very interesting. To hear things from both sides,
and that's why I liked it. We talked about it during the story hour, because it was mine was called Something Happened in Our Town, and it took basically a story about a cop shooting a black man, and it looked at it from two different sides. It looked at it from a white family's perspective, and it looked at it from a black family's perspective. And the way that they handled that, I think, was really well done. It was done in a way that was relatable to kids, and a good way to sort of explain why it was wrong, and so it was really good. It was a really, really good book. Let's see. We did Flagstaff Pride on Saturday.
Yeah, we did. We did a whole episode. We did a whole episode. For those that didn't watch, we did a whole episode about how to support trans youth, which you wouldn't think that we had a lot to talk about, but we had a lot to talk about, because when it comes to children, I'm very, like, psyche, because I myself have been a product of, but I like to make sure that, like, as children are processing things, that they understand that what they feel on the inside is not anything that's their fault, or
I think it was a good episode. Like, it's up on our page, so you can rewatch it if you feel so inclined.
And we talked about Juneteenth too.
We did talk about Juneteenth. We did. So on Sunday, this was interesting for me. I have pretty much been holed up since March. I haven't done really anything that could be considered much like socializing, like pretty much at all, really. And I decided on Sunday that my mental health was beginning to, even the most introverted person, we still need people, and we still need that connection. And my friend was taking a staycation at one of the resorts in Scottsdale, and she was like, "Hey, we're here. There's a pool. Come hang out." And there were 4 of us. We all stayed very distant. We kept to our own little section of the pool. There were a few other people there too, and they all everybody kept in their own little
pockets, kind of.
In their own little, right. And it was fine. There was, no issue until, and this was interesting to me. Like I don't really like public pools anyway, just because like, eh. um, hotel pools I'm better with, but like public pools, ew. Um, but as we were there for a few hours, and more people were coming in,
Ooh.
and every time people came in, I did
Did you
this
watch
mental sort of
them?
calculation. Like I'd see how many
Yeah.
people were in their group, and I'd look around the pool, and I'm like, okay, so how much room do we all have? And the anxiety, like
I'm telling you.
it, I, it was so
It's surreal. Oh my
like
god.
yeah, like it's not something that you really think about. And then it was like, wait, wow, like I felt myself physically moving away from people, just sort of shuffling like as people, and there was still plenty of room, but in my head I kept doing the mental calculations, and yeah, that
Mm-hmm.
was mm,
It's mentally
yeah,
exhausting.
that was rough. Today I actually took the day off and I went and volunteered at Joshua Tree. Um, for those of you who aren't familiar with what Joshua Tree is or what they provide food and other things like that to the local HIV and AIDS community. They are being very, very stringent with their, kind of regulating everything. Everybody that comes in, they're only letting like 3 people in at a time.
Mm.
Everybody that comes in immediately gets their temperature checked. They get handed a mask and they get handed gloves. And in the food distribution area, there's only 3 clients allowed in at a time. And there's markers on the floor where everybody has to make sure that they're about 6 feet apart. So they're doing everything that they can to make sure they can still serve the community while maintaining good practices. So like that was but the folks that work over at Joshua Tree, I've known most of them for God over a decade now, and
You owe.
it's a really good it's a really really good uh, organization, and I always feel like it always feeds that's something that really feeds my soul, and something that I only get to do now about once a month, but
I have not
it
volunteered there. I think I've done more fundraisers than I've ever done. Well, there's one organization that I've done fundraisers for that.
mm,
Mm-hmm.
mm-hmm.
But I feel like they are very deserving of.
They absolutely. And so I've also been trying to make a conscious effort to really kind of exercise more self-care. And I'm gonna take a minute. I'm gonna plug this shit because it's good
Oh, you
shit.
go ahead. You go
So,
ahead.
Bone and Basil is actually made by a friend of mine, and it's like she does like God, a fucking amazing
Wait,
shit.
did you get
She
product
makes this
already? You didn't even
what?
you didn't even bring any to me.
No, this is stuff I already had.
Oh, okay. I was about to say
Yeah.
I'm gonna sit over here like
No. She's
mean.
making stuff for us to try because we're gonna trust me. We're gonna be all over this shit. But so this is like one of my favorite things. This is her Relax Brew like bath salts, and it's so cool because she gives you this bag and it comes with like a little mesh bag so you don't have like
Oh, so you
stuff
don't get the
floating all over the
stuff in
place. Like
in
it's
your
easy
bath.
cleanup. And this stuff, oh my god, it's amazing. It's got like Himalayan salt, and it's got hops, so you can pretend that you're sitting in beer. Rose petals. It's got arnica and calendula. These are things that like they're soothing. They help with body aches. It's so fucking amazing. And then I have to tell you, this shit. It's her heal all salve, right? And this stuff, it says on here that you can use it for bug bites, burns, cuts, scrapes, and eczema. I don't know if y'all realize how fucking accident prone I have been during all of this shit. I have sliced myself open so many times.
And
My
not in
fingers
a good
and
way
my
either.
hands
Not in
are
a good
just
way.
a goddamn mess. Like last week, I went to reach for a spatula and I sliced my finger open on one of the mandolin slicers. Just, and then there was being attacked by a dog and and all this shit. And this stuff is fucking amazing. It works on literally everything, and it makes a great like tattoo like refresher thing too. Like this
Oh.
thing, oh my god. It's all her stuff is like all natural. And yeah, like if you guys need some really good stuff to like put in your bath or some like good stuff for your skin and things like that, go check out Bone and Basil on Instagram. It's BONE underscore for a few new products that she's got coming up. So we'll let you know how that goes. But yeah, man, the bath shit by itself, this stuff is like so if you want to practice some self-care, go support a local small business and
Well,
get you some of this
you
shit.
know that I have recently, anyway, have been forcing myself to do self-care days. So I'm all about it. Send it my way. I will gladly occupy a bath. I will gladly do that just for the sake of experimentation and
it's so that we can give product reviews.
Yeah, I'm here for it.
Oh.
I'm here for you. Yes. Dia saying
what do you do?
that Bone and Basil is amazing. Her stuff is so good. So good. Let's see. Where do I want to start with my week? Oh my god. Okay, so
I mean, you didn't really do anything, so you just skip over all of it. Really.
Oh my god. So, I didn't do any. Thursday was like a rush by. It felt like, oh my god, what just happened? And then Friday was when it all came tumbling down. So I was promoting the Juneteenth show, which was brought to you by, or presented by Virtual Arizona Pride and Next Gen Arizona. Let me tell you, we had to make sure that the marketing was still running, so that was going in my head. Then I remembered that because the night before I forgot on Thursday, that I was going to record for Story Hour because I was going to be getting ready for the Juneteenth event.
Right.
And then, so I got up like I was going to go to work, because essentially I did that day. So by like 8:30, I think 8:30 I posted online. I was done with my phase, because like a regular work day. And so I was at the computer doing my business, and then I did, I recorded the story, read the illustrator's name wrong, but it was like 9 o'clock in the morning. Anyway, and then did all because we didn't want to like break the show, like, because I for me, I'm already weird and awkward on this show. I don't need to like break it, and then I want it to change. I can't produce and change. No. So I recorded all of my intros, and Shannon and Christopher Ray had already recorded theirs, so that was very helpful. But the biggest part was putting all the stuff in and making sure that it ran smoothly. And we were putting stuff in like up until like the very time that we were putting it on. But then, old Faithful here, good old Faithful here, we were about to go on, and the first 3 times that we tried to go on, she just said boop. She said boop. I'm done.
Uh-oh.
I'm done. And then so we figured out what it was. She doesn't like to do high volumes of work all at one time, so I had to like pick and choose what I was doing. But all in all, I spent 14 hours in drag, because I was in drag during the producing part, because I said, if one of the videos doesn't play, I'm gonna go and be...
You've spent longer in drag, like when we drove to Bisbee at 4 o'clock
my god,
in the morning.
no, but I did not produce a show while I was in drag. I was sweating. It was gross. But all in all, it turned out very good. I like the way it came out. Even though
I have to say the show was great. I was watching it. I was multitasking. I was playing video games while I was watching that. I had it next to me, and I have to say honestly that for you put together what a Juneteenth show is supposed to be with predominantly Black entertainers. It truly elevated, Black voices. It truly highlighted, the Black performers in Arizona. And I think that's exactly what a Juneteenth show is supposed to do. It's not supposed to be like, have like Black performers as like, a supporting role or whatever. Like they're supposed to be the focus. And I think that that's what you did. And I think that it went off pretty smoothly for what it was. So you know what? Congratulations for that.
One little hiccup we almost had was that Coco brought her Black girl magic. I don't think Old Faithful could handle that much Black girl magic. And the computer was at 101. I'd never seen it say 101 before. I was like, what kind of shit is this? And then so like I'm like petting it. I'm like, don't fail me. Don't you fail. Don't like, you do it.
We're almost to the end. Just do it. You can do it.
The only thing I don't get is, and I've noticed it on other people's lives, is that I cannot understand why Facebook shuts it off like 30 minutes, an hour. It blows my mind. And it doesn't like send like a thing that says like you broke copyright or anything. It hasn't said that. But it just says, oh, okay, bye. I'm like,
I think it's stupid. I think it's just fucking dumb. Though.
I'm like, we've been on here like 2 hours, 3 hours, whatever. What else did I do? So we read the books. And I just saw somebody contribute to it. We're at 850 now. But we raised some munties over the weekend. We're at 850, and we have a new goal of 1,000. So we're raising money for Brown Girls Do Ballet. And unlike my shirt, I do not dance. And I want to support those girls that do. Including those that, because our guest last week was talking about, sorry about the baby. But
that's all right. You've got the baby, and I'm over here playing. Was that a firework or a gunshot? So it's cool.
Wow. I'll take the baby any day. But what was I saying? I got so distracted. Brown Girls Do Ballet is like one of the initiatives that helped get shoes that are the same skin tone as. We're not all the same color. Surprise. Let's see. I had a self Fefe day, which was Father's Day, so it was kinda. I did sleep off and on for the rest of the day, so that was fine.
That's good.
And then, this was that yesterday or this morning? This morning?
I don't know. Like I said, all my days run together. I have no idea what day it is anymore. I'm just.
Well, we're featured on this app called Dragr. It's Dragr. And usually I just submit gigs to whoever takes them because you don't know who's going to watch your stuff. Anyway, so I submitted, our show and all the other shows that we have going on. And they were like, oh, so can you send us a graphic? I didn't have a clue of what they were doing with it. So I was like, okay, whatever. Maybe they'll put it with the calendar. And so this morning, I get this message that says, you're featured in our digital drag area. And I was like, wow. So I posted that. Also, I didn't load the PSA yet. I didn't.
Well, we can show it at the end.
Yeah. We did a PSA. And basically we're saying vote blue. Same
and we're also, if you haven't yet, or you should, you have until I think tomorrow to sign up for this week's Ripple Briefs. RipplePHX.org. You can sign up to receive their Ripple Briefs. We're actually featured in the Ripple Briefs this week.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's right. There was so much that happened in one day.
I know, and I I'm very excited because for those of you that pay attention to the Ripple website, Jeremy has this Lego obsession, and he has Legos for
Oh,
all the
that's
things.
right.
And
I
we
was
have
gonna
been turned
load
into
that.
Legos, and I laughed my ass off when he sent me the picture because Felicia, your Lego looks pretty on point.
Uh-huh.
Mine, first of all, doesn't have a shirt on and is like ripped, and I'm like, yes, this is fantastic.
I looked at that this morning. I said, ooh.
Yeah.
I could see myself, but who's that?
That's shush, okay? It's true to life and it's very accurate. With a full head of like wavy red hair. So yeah, it's totally accurate.
I believe you had like full hair. It was
I had hair once, shut up.
when we started the show he had hair. Now
I did. Jesus. Oh my god. So much happening. I decided for my Just the Tip tonight, because we've been talking a lot about how to deal with the pandemic and, things related to that lately. And I wanted to go a little bit of a different direction. And this sort of was inspired by a conversation that I was asked to be a part of, but hasn't happened yet. So I'm going to talk about it anyway. But it's I'm gonna touch on it, and just sort of in general terms, the thing actually happens is going to be a deeper war. But I'm going to talk about being trans and kinky because it's a thing, and it can be a little bit tricky to navigate. As a trans individual, learning to navigate sex, it can be tricky in and of itself. You're trying to figure yourself out, you know what I mean? You're trying to figure out who it's safe to be with, and but it can be even more so when you're talking about like a niche community, like the kink community or even the leather community, and many trans folks tend to stick with groups that are predominantly LGBTQ centered. It's where, that's kind of where most of us kind of came of age, and it's where we're comfortable. And, regardless of whether we are stealth in our daily lives or not, putting us in an environment that is predominantly cisgender and heterosexual can be kind of
daunting.
It can be very daunting. And getting into shared spaces with cishet people, it can be hard, and we tend to have a lot of and this is just because our perception is reality. And so when we're in the LGBTQ community, we tend to, because we tend to stick to those groups, we forget that things like kink and leather aren't just LGBTQ. Like there's so many cisgender heterosexual people that are a part of those communities, and these are we forget that, I think, until all of a sudden, like, we see we're in a group or something and people are talking, we're like, well, oh, you're straight, okay, whoops, I forget that that's a thing.
Yeah.
Because the assumption, and this is why we tend to stick to the LGBTQ community, the assumption is that most folks in the community are familiar and accepting when it comes to trans people. This isn't always true, mind you, but that's sort of the generalization.
Mm-hmm.
We're not that much of an anomaly. We're not that much of a I mean, we are to an extent with some people, especially, but
I'm an exotic animal. Thank you.
But for the most part, we're not that much of a weird sort of anomaly, But spaces that are shared with large numbers of cishet people can be scary, and it can actually make us question our safety. And there are things that if you are a cishet person in the kink community or in the leather community, and you're in a space that is mixed, if you're in a space that has both, uh, trans folks, gay folks, non-binary, whatever. There are things that you know you can do. There are things that you can actively do to make sure that it's a safe space for everybody. Um, One thing is that Kinksters and Leatherfolk need to understand that when it comes to the labels in these communities, whether it's Sir, Master, Boy, Heart, whatever, it's not about
what do those
gender.
What do those mean? I know we talked about it, but there's some people that are watching.
That's just getting into a whole other can of worms. That's a whole other discussion. We'll talk about that later.
You can't give like a general definition?
It's no, because it's gonna get into like longer things, and it's gonna. It doesn't. The definitions don't matter right now.
Okay.
They're. It's not important to this aspect of things.
Okay.
But there are labels and titles and whatever within these communities, and it's things that people have to remember is that it's more about headspace and it's not about genitals, and because I know cisgender women that use titles like Sir and Master, which are sort of indicative of a more masculine individual. So it's not about what's in my pants. One thing that I think everybody, whether you are cis-het or whether you're part of the LGBTQ community, is that this is something we've talked about, is to, you have to remember you can't buy into these stereotypes that are based in things like misogyny and whatnot. Like a trans man can't possibly be a top because obviously, vagina equals submissive. Like I actually had somebody tell me that being a trans man that was more of a daddy, because dude, let me tell you, was an interesting combination. I'm like, why? Why is that interesting? I'm like, and then they were like, well, I'm bi, so, and I'm like, oh, for fuck's sake, Jesus Christ. And I'm like, oh, Christ. Usually that's what that happens. It's like, well, that's, you identify as this. That's interesting. Also, I'm bi, so I like, all sorts of different types of things. And I'm like, I'm a dude. You're like, and these conversations always happen in like gay spaces. I'm a dude. So, I don't know how many times it's been, just assumed that, number one, I'm strictly a bottom and that I'm submissive. I don't know how many people have, alluded to that, and I'm like,
That happens to me too.
And then I have to explain to people that I might be verse, but I'm not a switch.
But then all of a sudden, it's like this.
Or they're like, and they're like, isn't that the same thing? I'm like, no, being verse and a switch are two different things. And there's nothing wrong with being submissive, and there's nothing wrong with being a bottom. Absolutely not. The problem is when the assumptions come in, and the assumptions are based on basically misogynistic bullshit. So that's something that needs to really, if you are in a situation where you are either, if you're playing with a trans person, if you are in the middle of a scene, or you're negotiating a scene with a trans person, one thing that you have to keep in mind is that a lot of trans folks do experience things like dysphoria, and so language and the words you use are very important. You need to talk to us. You need to find out, what do we call ourselves? What do we refer to parts of our body as? That's a big deal. There is nothing more off-putting and nothing that is, I swear, like a bigger mood killer than someone who, you're in the middle of sexy time with somebody, and then somebody says something that's like they use a term for something, or they
that word that you don't use.
Yeah, and it's always 9 times out of no, not 9 times out of 10, 10 times out of 10, they
Oh.
always say something that uses that word when they're doing something to that. And I'm like,
Uh, I,
immediate turn off. Immediate turn off.
I'm not going to say it unless somebody asks.
Like, I'm sure people can figure it out. But it's like that, like, you, first of all, you didn't ask me what to call anything or refer to anything as or whatever. You just dove right in and then said something that just, it's like, it's really like, that is an instant just mood killer, everything. And it's like, all right, well, I'm kind of done and I don't really want to have anything to do with this. So great.
So Mimi is on Twitch. I think she's still boycotting Facebook. Why are they even thinking about that? It's none of their business. I think she's referring to the bi issue. She said, "Oh, I guess it is their business because they're talking. We're talking about sexual intercourse." Yes,
right. It's their
but
business.
Not to call
it
is, that.
Right.
I mean, even when I hear gay men talking like that, I'm like,
yeah, and I mean, we get this in the community as well, but it especially happens with the cishet community, and people look at trans folks as something to try. No, we're not an ice cream flavor.
I feel like when I was first dating that, because there weren't a lot of black people out here, that they were just trying me out.
Right. It's like you're a new brand of.
Or they would come. They would call me up until, we had sex, and then all of a sudden it was like, oh, I'm okay. I am not interested. Right. And you're like,
right.
What?
It's like, yeah, no, like, and it's hard when you're in a situation, and that's why you don't see, I think, a lot of trans people that are open in communities like the swinger community, and you know what I mean? Like, there's trans swingers, but there's it's a very sort of,
people aren't educated,
knit, more closed off, because like, I can't just walk into a swingers club and be comfortable, because it's predominantly, almost always, like,
what if we started a trans swingers club?
I would say trans friendly, because not every,
yeah,
but like,
that's just like, never mind.
But you know what I mean? Like, it's like, it's there are things that it's just we're not super comfortable doing, and it's unfortunate, because we should just be looked at like anybody else.
Well, I'm a bit ignorant, but I would think they wouldn't
being what? What wouldn't they do? Because, dude, you have no idea. And honestly, what really needs to happen is that, cishet kinksters need to get used to the idea that there are trans kinksters and trans leather folk, and we're no less belonging in those communities. Like, we belong in those groups just as much as anyone else does, and we need to be respected in those groups just as much as anyone else is. If you are a cis gay male and you introduce yourself as, master whoever or sir whoever or whatever, nobody looks at you sideways. Mm-hmm. The second, you are a trans person, especially if you're out, you're out as trans and you refer to yourself as sir something, whatever, almost always the initial reaction is sort of like like they're thinking about, well, maybe you're not really, but you know what I mean? Like, there's always that weird sort of doubt, and I'm like, bullshit. Yeah, no, it happens all the time. There is, all the time. I can't.
That's because we talked about this. We live in a misogynistic world. We have to erase the misogyny to get rid of the societal norm that tells
because they
us.
don't think, people don't think that I'm gonna have another name for it because it is what it is. Well, no, it's not. It is what it is. It's and they don't think that there's gonna be something else to call it because in their mind this is what they've always called it. So that must be what it is.
Mm-mm.
Period.
Well, and that leads back to psyche. So.
Right.
Right.
It's yeah. So whether you are straight, whether you are gay, wherever you fall on the gender spectrum,
consent is everything.
Consent is everything, and don't assume shit. And just don't be a shitty person. Just saying.
I mean, we got enough of those, so we don't need more.
All right, shall we take a closer look at current events?
Yeah. Speaking of shitty people, it looks like we have some new numbers, and it's bad when everybody breaking news, my husband's wearing a mask now.
Well, he has to. It's law.
Anyway, so last week, what did we have? What were the numbers?
Last week we had 39,097 cases and 1,219 deaths.
Well, this week we have 54,974 cases and about almost 1,500 deaths.
Yeah, so we're at almost 55,000 and about 1,500 deaths. That is 15,000 cases in 1 week.
Yes, and
15,000. That 15,000.
Oh, did I not put it on here?
Or that is more than we had in that's like more cases than we had in like all of April.
So nationally, do you know the number nationally?
That I don't know. I didn't check that today.
So nationally, we have gone up to 36,000 daily cases in the United States.
Wear a fucking mask, people. Wear a goddamn mask.
I know that it seems like this weird thing that's on your face and it's hot, you can't breathe through it, but they have ones with like little holes in the front. They also have ones that are really expensive that you can buy with fans on them. I know it's really ridiculous to you because it's not the norm. Again, we like to fight the norms. I know. We don't like change. So this is a change that I have gladly accepted because I have started to fund this collection because I need stuff that matches. But wear your mask. They come in every color. Everybody's making them. There's no excuse.
What people don't understand is that your circle is getting smaller. A month or so ago, maybe you knew somebody who knew somebody who had it. I personally know at least 3 people. Not a friend of a friend, but people that I actually know that have it. And Shannon, you're right. It is way harder to fucking breathe on a ventilator. And since we're running out of ventilators, maybe you don't get a ventilator.
I mean, we could look back on your social media and see that you said, well, if you have your own mask, it's up to you. It's your prerogative if you wear it. Stop bothering me about this.
We go back and we look at your shit and it says that you don't want to wear a mask because blah, whatever the fuck, then you know what? You can get prescribed. You can get prescribed thoughts and prayers. Good luck with that. So we'll save the ventilator for the people that actually did what they needed to fucking do.
I thought about this the other day because I remember when COVID first broke and the doctor on CNN was saying, well, it's just like the flu. We got over the flu. And I'm like, no, we didn't. Like thousands upon millions of people
like, what do you mean we
died.
got over the flu? What the fuck are you talking about?
And so, like, I was like saying, like, in the beginning, I'm like, I'm scared shitless. I'm not going out there. And I hope everything is disinfected when I leave. But, I watched that same doctor on the news the other day, and he like, laid out all these things, and you could just see the fear in his eyes. And I'm like,
well, here's the thing, is that people keep saying, well, doctors say one thing, and then they said this other thing. And I'm like, okay, well, the fun thing about science
is that
is
it
that
changes all the
when
time.
you when you are presented with new facts, then you say, oh, well, then let me change my view on this. Because you are presented with new facts. Therefore, you are able to look at it and say, oh, for God's sakes, we had things like cocaine and arsenic in medications for how long? Until someone was like, maybe this isn't such a good idea.
What are your animals doing?
Those aren't animals. That's what I'm saying. I'm playing what the fuck. Is this like gunshots or is this like...
Oh my god.
Yeah, swell. Like, it's been shit all night. Like, it's awesome.
I'm hoping that it's fireworks.
I can't even tell anymore. I'm staying inside my fucking house. I don't know. So here in Arizona, for those of you that are out of state, our fucking dipshit governor refuses to have any, like, he's just like, I don't want to know. I don't want to.
No, it's up to you. It's up to you. It's up to you. Don't talk to me. I'm going to be outside without a mask.
Right. He's like, no, I don't want to make masks mandatory. So he left it up to local government. So Maricopa County got together and decided that they were going to make masks mandatory, except for Trump rallies. But people are still not wearing them. Stores aren't all enforcing it. And fucking Scottsdale, because it's fucking Scottsdale, are protesting the mandate, led by a fucking city councilman. So, yeah. Like, what the fuck? Like,
I'm sorry. What was that? Was that privilege that you shouted out? Oh, okay. Never mind.
Right.
Never mind.
Like, I can't. I fucking can't. Like, it is unbelievable.
I couldn't hear you.
The selfishness and the privilege that some people are showing. I'm
sorry. I can't hear you over the privilege. It's getting louder.
Yeah. So, yeah. It's,
stop protesting Black Lives Matter, but I'll protest the mask any day.
Right. Yeah, and everybody's really kind of mad at Phoenix Mayor Kate Gallego because she let Trump go ahead and hold his fucking thing here in a fucking mega church, and she was like, no, masks aren't important. Masks don't have to be mandatory. Why the fuck not?
Didn't she just spend like the last 3 days on the news saying you had to wear a mask?
Right. She's like, no, we have to wear a mask. We have to wear a mask. We have to wear a mask. Like, the fuck? No. Like, either we do or we don't. Don't fucking... And I was like, don't fucking reward bad behavior. These are the same people that are going out and doing stupid shit. But it's okay because the church had magical filters.
Yeah, I want to know what these magical filters were. Because I've been looking on Amazon for them, and I can't find them.
I know. I keep Googling magic filters for, curing COVID, and I'm not seeing anything.
I mean, if there is something, I don't know what it is.
No, it's unbelievable.
Secondly,
unbelievable.
I'm kind of mad that it was at a church, and people are being unrealistic. Faith only goes so far.
Thoughts and prayers. That's what you get. You don't get the ventilator. You don't get the ECMO. You don't get anything. You get thoughts and prayers because you're a fucking dumbass. Congratulations.
Congratulations. Cool. But I personally, as an asthmatic and a person that is prone to have high blood pressure and all those other things that come with my hereditary, I prefer that you just not do all those things, not with your face covered. And if you're not covering your face, then you're going to be out in the public, take a shower before you come near me. You have a lot going on.
Let's see what else have we got going on. The cop that murdered Breonna Taylor has been fired.
What else? What else happened? That's it.
He hasn't done anything. There's nothing else. There's been no arrest, no charges, nothing. He was just fired. Naughty.
That's all. You bad boy. Wait. I hear privilege. I'm so sorry.
Right.
I'm so sorry. I heard it.
Right. Yeah. The 3 officers that were involved in Ahmaud Arbery's murder the 3 folks that were 3 officers. The 3 people that were involved in Ahmaud Arbery's murder have been indicted by a grand jury. So that is
That's what I'm
that's at least
saying.
something. But they weren't cops, so
We need to
whatever.
keep our foot on the pedal, even if you're not out protesting every day. I'm not out protesting every day. Let me just say that. We gotta keep pressuring because
Mm-hmm.
these people, and I say these people because it is a mixed crowd of people.
Yeah.
In fact, the one officer that has like the beard was out on bail. The one that one of the officers, or what have you, ex-officers that killed George Floyd was out on bail,
Right.
buying groceries and Oreos. So, uh, good for the lady that recorded that and said, "Do you think you have the right to be out here?"
Right.
I'm like, "Ooh, damn, she."
Unfucking believable. Yeah. But the thing is that what's happening is the public pressure is actually working. So the more people still pay attention, the protests, even the social media posts, because this shit is tracked. So the more posting that happens, the more that people aren't silent about it, the protests, everything, the more that it's still being talked about. That it puts pressure on public officials to really do something about this shit. So keep that momentum up, y'all. Like,
And there's so many lists. I don't know where to keep up, but if you feel that your city council needs to, I'm not just talking about here in Arizona, I'm talking about everywhere. If you feel that your city council needs to investigate things further in your community, you need to be writing letters. So I found one city was like allowing text messages, and then they took it off because people were like,
right.
they're like, "Oh, they found the easy way." But I say email those people. One lady that I was listening to earlier, she was like, "If you believe it that much, you should email your city council at least once a day. If you believe it that much." I have written an email twice this week because I haven't remembered to do it every day. But the more times they get tired of seeing my email, they'll block it eventually. But
I mean, it's still something. Like, they need to know that people are paying attention, and that
and they'll be like, "Okay, we get it."
What else is happening?
Let's see. Speaking of progress, we have statues being removed in various cities and states. I believe that it's in talks that Columbus, Ohio, they're going to remove the statue. I could be telling a fairy tale, but I feel like I heard that. I feel like it's real news. And I think that they may be considering renaming the city.
I heard that as well. I'll believe it when I see it.
Yeah, but, it sounds very like. I feel like people are going to be standing in meetings for like 4 hours.
It's going to be, if that happens, it's going to be a minute. Like, it's not something you can just be like, all right, we're going to go ahead and change the name. So it's going to, there's a lot that's involved in it. So it takes a second.
Also, if you didn't know, the state of Rhode Island is like the state Providence of Rhode Island, or the Providence of Rhode Island and Plantations. That's the official state name. And so the governor, she is white, and she decided that we need to remove Plantations off of the name. And many people did not know that, but I didn't know that either. And I saw it trending on Twitter this morning. I was like, what did Rhode Island do? You never hear them in the news.
Right? It's interesting that and Plantations are on there. It's a northern state, so that's.
I mean, I Googled it for a hot minute, and it doesn't look like they had a strong, but they might have started there.
I found something out today. Actually, while I was at Joshua Street, did you know that the Civil War, actually, there was a small skirmish that happened right here in Arizona during the Civil War?
I didn't know
this
that.
Is the furthest west that the Civil War came, and it was just a small skirmish up at like Picacho Peak, and we have a Civil War reenactment that happens there like once a year. And all I picture is, I'm like, okay, so what? It was like 4 people with a musket. Like, I don't. Like I just picture like right, like 4 random people in like Confederate gear with.
Does Guido
Like,
do that? I'm gonna have to ask
I was
Guido.
I thought that was kind of funny. I was like, okay.
Oh my goodness. I had never heard of that. I
Yeah.
knew about the history part. I didn't know that I didn't know they were reenacting it.
Yeah, they never really.
It was
I
such
like
a
I said,
small
I just
thing
picture like,
though.
4 people out there, uh, playing rock paper scissors or whatever. I'm like, this is okay.
Wow. There's many other things going on. Except I saw like Jimi Hendrix got tagged on, and it said, I couldn't tell what it said, but I feel like it's somebody that's like white power. Anyway, uh, an openly LGBTQ Afro Latinx candidate beat out a homophobic and transphobic Trump supporter in, I believe it's the Bronx. I didn't write it down. I didn't put it in there. But his name is Richie Torres, and they're still counting the votes, so cross your fingers.
Right, but he's leading, is what it is.
He's leading
He's
by...
leading.
And every time he started to run, everybody was like, oh no, you're never going to beat this guy, because he was like a career politician. He had been there for years. So what I want to say is, and I think I've said this before on our show, is that if you feel like you belong in politics or feel like you can fight for something in politics, please go for it. Especially if you're LGBTQ plus, please, and you know what the issues are. You know what's affecting us. If you know that you want to go, do it, please. There's no hesitation. Just do it. Get educated. There's actually like institutions that will help pay for your education to move you along. So, also we have a black queer candidate. I don't know how to say his name though.
I think it's Mondaire.
Mondaire Jones is in the lead. Oh, I didn't write that district down either, but I believe that one's in New York. And then we have a Puerto Rican Dominican queer. Samuel
Namir Olivares,
who appears to have won his race as well. So I feel the change coming on. I feel it. If we can keep it going and move it all the way up to the top, I support it. That's all I'm saying. I support it fully. We definitely have to push for better. We can't just sit
vote.
The deadline to vote is July 6th. And I know that because I had to say it for next gen. So because our next election is in August, please register to vote. Please register to vote. If you have not ever voted...
speaking of registering to vote, did you load that video?
No. Please give me a moment.
So next up, I'll talk about next gigs if you want while you do that.
Hold on. Let's see if this works, because this is the part where it like shut me down when I... Keep going.
So June 26th, Felicia has a special drag story hour author talk with Shambrika Wise, who was on with us last week. So tune in for that for sure. And then also that day, I know Felicia's got a video in for Nashville Pride Live. So that'll be streaming on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch. And then we both have videos in for the COVID relief benefit for the Navajo Nation. That brought a whole slew of entertainers together. It was put together by Lucinda Holiday and Justin Deeper Love, the Tucson Pride royalty. So that should be good. Did you get that video?
I'm waiting for Old Faithful. Old Faithful takes her time.
I don't really have anything coming up.
Say what
If
now?
anything pops, I don't really have anything coming up. So if anything pops up, I will let y'all know. But as of right now, I don't really have anything.
That's so unusual, especially for you.
I know. Tell me about it.
By the way, I had post-event low really bad.
Do you have event drop?
Yeah.
Oh, I lied. Actually, I'm doing something on Saturday, but I don't know what yet, and I don't know when. But it's I'm gonna be doing something with Glisten, and they're doing like a virtual Pride thing as well.
Okay.
But I was just contacted about it, so the details are to be determined. But as soon as I know, I'll get it posted on the page. But yeah, so I'll be doing something with Glisten. Don't know what yet.
Okay, hope and pray that this does not shut down.
Right.
Okay, so I'm gonna try it.
Okay.
It hasn't. If it's all crooked or upside down like the Juneteenth thing, oh my god, that was so embarrassing. Okay, so I'm gonna try this. Let's see how this goes.
Do it. I have faith in you.
It's not doing it.
Okay.
Hold on. Police reform.
Transgender protections in healthcare and in the workplace.
Improving Arizona's education.
Now more than ever, it's important to have your voice represented by the folks in office.
In Arizona, it's time to make a change and vote for a Democratic candidate who represents
your voice,
your community,
and your best interest.
Do your research, get to know the candidates, and find out where they stand on issues that matter most to you.
It's important to be registered to vote to receive your mail-in ballot.
We need to get to the polls to be able to
flip
the
switch
and turn Arizona blue. Heard you. Nobody heard me. So the video.
You're still on mute. Oh, damn it!
The video is posted on our Instagram if you want to share it there. The video will post on our Facebook page at 9:30-ish. I don't remember what time I said it. I know I said it at like 9 something, but so yes, Francis, I'm so sorry. Francis is on cue. Francis, you want to be our remote producer? I'm fine with that.
Is there a way to like someone to like remote into your computer and like hit the button?
Oh my god! With Old Faithful, I'm scared if I did that. If this was brand new, yeah. Stay tuned. We may be doing a fundraiser because Old Faithful. If we lose Old Faithful, there will be a fundraiser because I don't have Old Faithful money. Old Faithful was like bonus check money, and I was like, oh, let me go get a computer. Yeah. That's what happened. Wow. So, yeah, that was our little PSA that aired on Crooked Media's Pride Parade this afternoon. Thank you to them for asking us, because
it's super awesome for them to
I didn't know they had
reach out.
I didn't even know they had heard of us.
Right? Because I was like, oh, you know who we are? That's fantastic.
I was like, who is this? Oh my god. Oh. I was like, okay, yeah, whoa. And then, so...
You know who we are, go figure.
And then when you look at the list of who was on the show, I was like, how do we fit in here?
Don't question things. Just.
I was like, are you sure? Is there another Felicia? You sure?
Right? Like,
oh wow. Anyway, We have been brought to you by Wigs of a Kind. You can find them on Facebook. Or you can look for Marissa Sanchez, or you can send us a message and we'll send you in the right direction. We know where to find her. We know where to find her. Make sure you book your appointments for the Burley Barber. You can book your appointment at theburleybarbers.com. Be sure to wear mask there. I know that they wear mask there.
They won't let you in if you're not wearing a mask.
Correct. You can buy one for like 50 cents. You can also support us on Patreon at patreon.com/letshaveafefe. Special thanks to all of you who support us on Patreon. You can also tip us on PayPal at paypal.me/letshaveafefe. Oh, it must be bedtime. The baby is just screaming. Be sure to share this episode. To like this episode. And if you have any friends that were at the Trump rally,
share it with them.
And ask
send them our thoughts and prayers.
Send them our thoughts and prayers, and ask them about the filters. I get chunks of cat hair in mine. I just want.
I have like a little like air filter thing. So if I can figure out like the magic filter to put in that would be great.
I mean, if it can catch COVID, it must be able to catch everything else.
Right? It picks up all the cat hair and shit. Like, that would be awesome.
I mean, does it start cleaning the house too? Because I'm ready. You can subscribe to us as a podcast. You can listen to us on Google Play, iTunes, iHeartRadio, Spotify, and more. Also, be sure to follow us on Facebook. A lot of you follow us on Facebook. That's what you're watching us on. Twitter and Instagram. And thank you to all of you who watch us live or on the replay. We will see you next week for your Wednesday night conversation. This has been Let's Have a Fefe. Good night.
Good night.